Hello my co-host, how are you doing? Welcome back to another review with Tell Us Says. Today I am going to be making a reaction review video following the breaking news of a Nigerian politician, wife and a doctor guilty of organ trafficking in the UK. In this reaction review, I am going to buttress the cruelty, narcissism and the systemic impoverishment systems that our leaders use that makes it difficult for them to let any other person into that circle of leadership they had been holding for years, because they see majority of the citizens as disposable assets, not as human beings. This news first broke out last year around February 2022. Since then, they had been in court, and now there's an update about the news. I didn't review the first part, but I'm making this update because I want to use this to align to the political video I made before the election. I'm sure you must have watched the video. If you haven't watched it, please click the link above to watch it for people to understand why I made the points I made in that video. Meanwhile, if this is your first time coming to my channel, you are welcome. Please, if you haven't subscribed, do subscribe. If you have subscribed, thank you, you're welcome. I'm sure you will enjoy what I am doing here. For my old watchers, my old subscribers, family members here, thank you so much for your continued support. And if you don't know, there's a timestamp line below this video in case the video seems too long for you, so you can skip watch. Without further ado, let's quickly watch the videos for those who really don't know what the story is about before I go into my reaction breakdown. All right, here is the video.
An organ harvesting plot involving a British hospital. The 60-year-old Nigerian senator, Ekweremadu, was one of those found guilty at the Old Bailey today. That was along with his 56-year-old wife, Beatrice, and a medical middleman, Dr. Obina Obeta from Southwark in South London. Their daughter, Sonia, however, was cleared after the court deliberated for almost 14 hours. And she'll be seen here, sitting next to the 21-year-old victim, following that verdict. It's the first time defendants have been convicted under the Modern Slavery Act of an organ harvesting conspiracy.
Ekweremadu, he's a Nigerian senator. He's a very wealthy man. He has an address in northwest London, incidentally, in Willesden Green. And he's been convicted, along with his wife Beatrice, and as you say, a medical middleman, of what effectively amounts to an organ trafficking plot in which they tried to bring a 21-year-old man to the UK to exploit him for his kidney. It's the first case of its kind under UK modern slavery law. And essentially what has happened is that this 21-year-old man was a street trader in Lagos. He was earning pittance a day, pounds really, selling mobile phone accessories from a wheelbarrow. And he was brought to the UK, the court heard, to provide a kidney for the Ekweremadu's daughter, Sonia, who has a debilitating illness. She, incidentally, was cleared of the same charges today. But this man was offered, the court heard, £7,000 and promised a new life in the UK. But it was never made entirely clear to him, or at least he never fully understood exactly why he was coming. And the first he found out that it was essentially for his kidneys was when he turned up at the Royal Free Hospital in London to meet doctors. And a consultant there said that he was clearly had a limited understanding of why he was there and seemed visibly relieved when ultimately he was told the surgery wouldn't go ahead and doctors declined to perform it. At that point, he went back to an apartment in Southwark in South London where he'd been being put up, and he told police that at that moment the mood changed and he was treated as a slave until eventually he managed to escape and run away. He slept rough for a few nights before handing himself into a police station in Surrey, where he said he had no idea where he was. He begged them to save his life. That prompted the investigation, which led to the arrest, which has brought us to today. And the sentencing of the three defendants will take place on the 5th of May.
Yeah, you know, I always go further into research to find all the details before I make my reaction reviews. So further into this story, I went further to BBC website because I know blogs, you can watch videos, but blogs do carry more information. So I went further to the reading articles via Guardian and BBC. Let's start the breakdown from the part where the broadcaster said the boy felt relieved that the surgery wouldn't go on and what happened afterwards. This was where they started treating the boy illy, which was mentioned in the video, that made him to run away and go to the place, because when they realized that the doctor realized that he hasn't got counseling, he hasn't got the necessary advice required before this kind of surgery will take place, and he also doesn't have enough fund to take care of himself afterwards, they refused to carry out the surgery. Currently, I'm going to read what BBC wrote further to the information that you just watched. BBC said, Royal Free Consultant Dr. Peter Dupin concluded the donor was unsuitable after learning he had no counseling or advice about the risk of surgery and lacked funds for the lifelong care he would need. Tell me, if you are living in the UK, this guy was offered £7,000, right? And promised opportunity in the UK for helping. According to Dr. Peter Dupin, there is further treatment that comes and the further lifestyle that comes when he donates his kidney. And that's £7,000. As a normal person that doesn't even have any illness in UK, it's not enough. Let alone somebody that will now have to go on for his life with one kidney. He is not rich. All he may have will be that £7,000 they issued him. Meanwhile, this man is stinkingly rich. Stinkingly rich. So you ask me, he has all the love for his daughter that he can go extra miles to get someone else's son to donate a kidney for his daughter. But he cares less, offering counseling and explaining to this boy or this young man what life after this will be, because he cares less. As long as his daughter lives, he is okay. How can you love your daughter but you can't love another person's child? Your wife is involved in this. The same way you carried your child 9 months in the womb, this is the same way another woman carried this same man 9 months in the womb. So you are able to dispose another person's child, but you cannot dispose of yours. You get what I mean? This is where narcissism comes in, and this is what happens to most of our politicians. Once most of Africa, not just Nigeria, the whole of African politicians, selfishness, once it is not working in their favor, once they are not making gain as they planned from that, everything turns around. Here in this article will prove that. And the court held that the Ekweremadus then transferred their interest to Turkey and set about finding another donor. So because that boy had busted their plan, they went ahead to look for another donor at Turkey, and this is where they started maltreating the guy. The young man ran away from London and slept rough for days before walking into a police station in Staines in Surrey, crying and in distress. Relaying his fear, he told the police, "The doctor said I was too young, but the man said if you do not do it, he would carry me back to Nigeria and do it there." That's threat, because they have brought him to UK and they started threatening him that if he refused to do it, they are going to take him back to Nigeria. Of course, so imagine the young boy that had left Nigeria. With the situation of Nigeria right now, he found himself in the UK. It's not his fault. It's not his fault that he can't do it, because the doctors are more honest than the doctors anyway, because some other doctors maybe somewhere else wouldn't even bother to ask these questions. A donor was presented, of course, we just yank off the kidney and do it. But because UK is a country that is lawless, I also mentioned it in one of my videos, why I said some people migrate from Africa to here, because we're here, leaders at least, there is still a little bit of compassion in the system. This is why the doctor can still go further to do due diligence, to ask some further questions that made him to find out this. So it's not the boy's fault that the doctor had to do his job to find out this, and they said, no, we can't use you. You are not the right rightful person for this, and they started threatening him that if he doesn't do it, they are gonna take him to Nigeria to do. Of course, if they take him to Nigeria, nobody will ask questions because they are the people running the country. They are just gonna yank off his kidney and do it. This is why the boy was really afraid and in distress, because he knows what these people in power can do. This is how they come across this donor, and this is to tell you that Dr. or Mr. Ekweremadu or whatever is not the first person doing this. This had been something they had been doing. So in 2021, her father enlisted the help of his medically trained brother, Diwe Ekweremadu, to search for a donor they caught head. Diwe Ekweremadu, who remains in Nigeria, turned to a former classmate, Dr. Obeta. This was how the doctor gets in loop to this. Of Sodok, South London, who recently had a private kidney transplant at the Royal Free with a Nigerian donor. So, Dr. Obeta had also had a kidney transplant. Somebody donated to him. And where did he get the person from? Where? Listen. Dr. Obeta then engaged with Dr. Chris Abo of Vintage Health Group, a medical tourism company, as well as an agent to arrange a visa for the donor the court had. The victim, who knew the man who had donated his kidney to Dr. Obeta. So this is how he knew how these things is being run. So Nigerians are disposable assets for them. Nigerians are disposable assets for these rich monsters. Sonia, who had declined to give evidence, wept in court as she was cleared by the jury and tearfully hugged her father, and as he was remanded into custody with the other guilty defendants ahead of sentencing on 5th May. So poor Sonia, she has no clue what's happening, and I'm sure if she knew all the things that went under, I'm sure she would actually want to do it otherwise. I don't know. I'm sorry for her sickness, but listen, one thing you should know is that to donate organ is not a crime, but for you to pay ransom for somebody to give an organ is what is crime. And what also made it more crime is that the person, the victim that you want to use, does not understand properly what the nitty-gritty or what the nitty-gritty involved in the process. This is what made it more crime and more annoying. But this is why I say that these people are cruel. They are very cruel. They said the convicted defendant showed utter disregard for the victim's welfare, health, and well-being, and used their considerable influence to a high degree of control throughout, with the victim having limited understanding of what was really going on here, she added. Deputy Inspector Esther Richardson of the Metropolitan Police commended the victim for his bravery in speaking against the offender. You know, like when you are on a crossroad, you don't want to go back where you are coming from. You understand? And remember the time this thing was happening, February, when it was really cold. I could imagine what the boy went through in their hands before he kind of say, okay, no option, I'm gonna run away. Maybe he even slept under cold for days before he was able to decide, okay, I'm going to the police. If they are deporting me, fine. I'm just gonna report. You know what I mean? See, with all the threats and everything they are giving him, I want us to go to Guardian. This is BBC. I want us to go to Guardian because I want to point on something from Guardian. In February 2022, the man was falsely presented to a private renal unit at Royal Free Hospital in London as Sonia's cousin in a failed attempt to persuade medics to carry out an 80,000 transplant. For a fee, a medical secretary at the hospital acted as an Igbo interpreter between the man and the doctors to help try to convince them he was an altruistic donor, they caught head. So prior to this, the hospital have warned them that they can't use anybody other than family member, right? And I will still come to that. Because of that, they had to lie, as you have read here. They lied that this boy is a family member, in fact, Sonia's cousin, to be able to convince the hospital to do it. I believe that was when the hospital started asking those questions, and they now learned that this boy had no clue of what is happening. Obviously, the boy was smart enough to start talking. So, learn to know. In fact, what you should learn here is know when you should start talking. Don't let people intimidate you out of fear to keep quiet. Learn when to lose your mouth and start, say it all. Say it, because that might save your life. That might be your mouth, your tongue might be the only thing that may save your life, because this is what helped this guy. Let me go to also the part where I will tell you that he doesn't want to use family member. Davis said Ekweremadu ignored medical advice to find a donor for his daughter among genuine family members. He said at no point in time was there ever any intention for a family member, close, medium, or distant, to do what could be paid for from a pool of donors. You see why I say that these people are narcissistic, cruel, and they create systemic impoverishment in the system to be able to create pool of people they can use at will and dispose as they like. Now ask me, why does he think that let's even leave the fact that he refused to use family members. Have you not seen a situation where people voluntarily come out to donate for someone? Ask yourself, this man as a senator, senior citizen, if he had been nice to his community, that he didn't build anything, that he had been nice within his community, nice to people, are you trying to tell me that nobody will be concerned enough to say, okay, use my kidney because of your kindness, because of this? It happens. But how come it cannot happen to him? Because all they show people around them is to step on them and keep on pressing them down, because they have all it takes. They only need us for disposable needs like this. It's quite appalling. It's quite heartbreaking. He said Ekweremadu, who owns several properties and had a staff of 80, agreed to reward someone for a kidney for his daughter, somebody in circumstances of poverty, and from whom he distanced himself and made no inquiry, and with whom, for his own political protection, he wanted no direct contact. Davis added, what he agreed to do was not simply expedite in the clinical interest of his daughter, Sonia. It was exploitation. It was criminal. It is no defense to say he acted out of love for his daughter. Her clinical needs cannot come at the expense of the exploitation of somebody in poverty. Imagine expediting this boy. He doesn't even want to meet the boy. He doesn't want to talk to the boy. Just ahead, go to the street, recruit him, pay over from here to here, just expedite it. Okay, yeah, it's good. Okay, send to the hospital. Like assets, like as in a human being, like assets. He's not the first though. They have been doing it, but like I said, karma is a bitch. He now become the first person that karma brought out. And unfortunately, it comes out at the right time. That is when I said, the way people behave determines whom you are going to vote. But unfortunately, we still have so many nuisance as youths in Nigeria that they don't even know what they want. The leaders can still buy them with just a piece of maybe weed or stuff that they will eat 5,000 naira, that is not even up to £2. Buy them, let me even say, I don't know how much it is, maybe not up to £5. That even there in Nigeria, it is worth nothing to them. It is just for them to eat one plate of rice, smoke weed, and go out there, injure themselves, injure others, and continue being useless while these people are messing the country. This is what you see, and this is the reason why they never want to do anything good in that country, because they want people to remain in that state where they can keep on using them at will. I just pray that youths will wake up, because some of those youths who still hasn't woken, many had woken up judging from the past election, and I pray that as time goes on, as things are unfolding, more will wake up. So let me read the final part that also I want to bring out to you in this reaction. The behavior of Ekweremadu, a successful lawyer and founder of an anti-poverty charity who helped draw up Nigeria's laws against organ trafficking, showed entitlement, dishonesty, and hypocrisy, Davis told the jury.
Before we go on, note that in 2015, Nigeria government passed into law human trafficking in persons prohibition, which you can see here. As UK Guardian read, he was part of those who made this law. He never knew he will ever be in a situation of desperation as this, because the daughter took ill just in 2019. That was few years after the law was made.
The same man, he's a lawyer, he knows the law very well, front and back, he knows. And he also runs a charity organization called Anti-Poverty Charity. Please, I need to know at the comment section whom his charity organization had helped. How many people had his charity organization changed? Has he changed their life using this charity organization? Please, I want to know. Because if he had really changed anybody's life through this anti-poverty charity, how is it that nobody from that organization can rise up and say, because of this man, my life was changed, so because of that, I am going to volunteer to give his daughter my kidney? How come? How come? And also, you can see that he also helped Nigeria draw a law against organ trafficking. This explains why he wants his name not to be mentioned at all, to remain the loyal Nigerian citizen and keep on sitting there. Maybe tomorrow he will come out to vie for president, and how many organs of Nigerians will be sold then? Oh my God. Because this is how they will continue doing the referral. If he had been, you see, Dr. Obeta was successful, he referred someone. In fact, let's say that organization needs to be vetted as well, because I believe they've been doing this business, because somebody must have referred Dr. Obeta to that place as well. And then Dr. Obeta referred, assuming Mr. Ekweremadu was successful, he will also refer another person. And this is how the chain goes. And people will keep on going round and risking their lives into things they never do understand. Before you know it, you hear somebody slopped on the street of Lagos and died. Or maybe like they said, they will bring them here and promise them to stay here, because they will be hustling to do. You know how hard it is in London to work. Maybe they'll be doing night shifts somewhere to sustain their family. They will be working one day, slump and die, putting more pressure on their family members. And it will be all a cycle of doom all through his life. Because of what? He collected peanuts. And also, drawing these organ trafficking laws in Nigeria, this is to tell you how they have no regards to the policies they make back in Nigeria. They have no regards, because they are the one that run it. It's easy for them to come and bring and make policy, but they need a single dana of that law that they make. This is the likes of things they do. They just draw up laws that they themselves won't even respect. Honestly, if I keep ranting on this reaction review video, I'm sure I'll be here for like 1 hour. But honestly, I am happy that this thing came out like this at a time like this, so that Nigerians will have a clue of what it takes to look inwards and know whom you are voting, and at least expedite, as they are expediting you. You see the way they expedited this boy to use his kidney without even proper information. You too will learn to expedite these people that are coming to rule you. Even keep speaking, keep talking, don't be afraid. Things must change. Things have to change, because it is a systemic impoverishment of the citizens of Nigeria, so that they will keep running people like expediting goods whenever they want to use them. Okay, this is it for this reaction review. I am tired of talking. I have to go now. So thank you for watching, and I would love to hear your comments. I don't know what I said and what I have not said, but because I am really angry about this, and I'm also happy that karma has come to meet the people that destroy poor people's life and feel happy in using the poor. Anyways, tell me what you think about this review. As you always know, I love you, and see you next week in my next review. One love. Bye bye bye.